Today is an update on a paring knife that I'm putting together. First thing that I'm doing this morning is getting the maker's mark put on. And here I am marking out where the front of the handle is going to go so that I can line up the maker's mark stencil correctly. Basically all I'm doing is drawing a line where I want the front of the handle to go. Also on today's agenda is to get the handles trimmed up, get the pins cut out, and get everything set up for glue up. I use kind of a method that I read about online, and knowing a little bit about electricity, I use a simple AC to DC power supply and salt water as the dielectric, clamped to a Q-tip soaked in the salt water so that the maker's mark stencil will be removed from the steel. Very cheap, considering the fact that I had the power supply sitting around in my garage. Q-tips are cheap, salt is cheap, and it works very well. Almost kind of hard to justify spending the money on the purpose-built Maker's Mark tools when this works. Maybe someday I will, but not today. Here I have the Q-tip soaked in salt water and all the excess cleaned off of the Q-tip, and just very gently and evenly going through the stencil. I usually do about 2 Q-tips worth before I call it good. I used to do a lot more than that, but started figuring out it was pretty unnecessary to do 4 Q-tips, 5 Q-tips worth. So realistically, it only takes a few minutes, 5 minutes maybe, to get the electro etching done. The Maker's Mark is all finished from being put on. And now I'm grabbing some G10 pins that I have. Get them all sized up, see how long I need to go. The pins will be 3/16. And I'm using black G10 pins because the handle material, I think it'll just kind of match and meld everything together and not be too crazy. The handle material has a lot of dark spots in it, so it should just make it look really nice, blend everything together. Here, just using the Portaband to cut the G10 pins to length, using a little metal push stick just to try to stay away from the moving blade as much as possible. Here I am prepping the handle material to get trimmed up. Going to mark out where the front of the handle is going to lay on the blade again and transferring that to the handle material so that everything can be trimmed off. I'll transfer the shape of the tang straight to the handle material also to trim everything excess off that I can, so that in the end it'll be less grinding post glue up. Here I'm back on the Portaband, trimming off the excess of the handle material, being careful not to get too close to the lines that I've drawn, because definitely don't want to go overboard, because if you trim off too much, that's it, it's done. Now I'm grinding down the front of the handle to fit where I want it and shape it. After I get one done, I pin the two together, the two sides, so that I can get them both equal and the same. And then I use the table on the 4x36. I think this one is currently set at 35 degrees, and giving a nice front edge to the handle material. Do it nice and even, check both sides. Next, I do some sanding on the front of the handle that I've ground down at an angle, because the goal is to get that sanded up and throw a polish on it just to make sure everything is good to go, because I do not want to sand that after I glue it up. Learned that very early. The front of the handles are sanded down to where I'm satisfied. Grab a little buffing wheel, put it on the drill gun. Yeah, not the best buffer in the world, but I've never had an issue with it. And you know what they say, a buffer is the most dangerous tool in the shop. Just buff it out, take a look, clean it up, do both sides. And I like doing this because it kind of gives you a sneak peek of what the handle material is going to look like. And that will do it for this update. Stay tuned for more.